Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Tamlyn, who works for the Healthy End of Life project at LaTrobe University. Hi, Tamlyn.
Hello, Sam.
How you going?
Good,
Can I
thank you.
good, good. Can I get you to introduce yourself and just give us a
Yeah,
bit of an indication of what help is and what you do there?
yeah, sure. So my name's Tamlyn, and we're part of the Healthy End of Life Planning program at LaTrobe. And the help team developed an app called the Help app, Healthy End of Life Planning. And it was a result of about 10 years of research that was done by the Public Health Palliative Care Unit at LaTrobe. And what they discovered during the 10 years of research is that people didn't ask for help. When this is at end of life, when someone's approaching end of life, people didn't ask for help, people didn't offer to help, and people didn't accept help. So there's this real disconnect. The people needed help. So it was quite often they wouldn't ask for help because they felt that they should be coping, or that they were a burden, or they didn't know. Quite often it's just total overwhelm. They're just completely overwhelmed with what they're doing and they don't even know what help they need. So what the team did is they developed an app, and basically it's for palliative care. It's designed for people at end of life, and it's been designed so that you can put tasks in there. You can set tasks, and then you invite people from your network to be a part of the app. So every time you need something done, you can put it in as a task, and everyone in your network will get a notification. It might be something about picking the kids up or sitting with your partner while you go and have your nails done, anything at all. There's chat functions and all sorts of things in there. And the idea is really to get people to recognize who is around them, who wants to help, and how to engage them to help. So my job within the help team is to spread the word. So we are incredibly passionate about the app, and we just want to get people to know about it, to understand it, and to use it. So it's really talking with health professionals and end users and everybody in between, just to get the information out there that the Help app exists and how it can benefit families.
It's so great, Tamlin. I think it's just such a useful thing to have because often when we're really unwell, people want to help, but they just don't know how to. And then you often get offers of things that are maybe not useful, or people avoid offering help because they don't know what to offer. So if you can set these
Mm.
things out clearly, and like you say, this is only accessible by the people that you trust and that you know, they can just allocate themselves those little tasks
Mm.
that they wouldn't maybe didn't even realize were going to be so helpful to you
Mm.
and take the load off.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
such a great program.
Yeah.
So, in your experience, what are some common challenges to communication that you're seeing, and especially around your line of work?
Mm. So largely what we see is people not asking for help or waiting too long to ask. Um, it- Dying is seen as a very private time. So, when there's a natural disaster, like we're watching the cyclone happen at the moment, and everybody's always out there helping everyone. When there's a natural disaster or a sudden death, like somebody's killed in a car accident or something, the community comes and rallies around and everybody's there. When there's an expected death, and as we
Mm,
know, 70% or so of deaths are expected deaths,
mm,
people tend to back off a little bit. And so the first thing we see is people not asking or waiting too long to
yeah.
ask for help. And it becomes total overwhelm. I was doing a session with a group of carers from MND, and I was introducing them to the app. And one of the ladies just kind of looked at me and said, "Is there a list of things we can choose from?" And it was too much for her to even try and work out what she needed. She was so overwhelmed that
Yeah.
she couldn't even think. So, yes, the answer was yes. There is a list of, of default tasks and things that the research has shown people do need, so they can just kind of tick it. But it's definitely not asking for help and waiting too long. And then, like we were also saying, is people wanting to help but not knowing how. Like
Yeah.
it's very difficult when you really want we've all been in this situation. We've seen somebody struggling, And I know from my personal experience, there was a local family in the community, and the husband had MND. And I knew his wife, but I didn't know her well. And
Mm.
I would see her in the supermarket and I would feel so helpless. And I'd say, Linda, let me know when I can start bringing meals. Let me know what I can do. She was never going to call me. She was never going to call me and say, Tam, remember that time I saw you in the supermarket? I need that help now. But I desperately wanted to do something. I felt so helpless knowing what she was going through and
Mm.
knowing how hard it must be with 4 kids to manage everything. But it's very hard practically for people to know what they can do. And so when I'm in the supermarket and I say to her, what can I do? She's not going to say anything. But at 10 o'clock at night, when she's about to go to bed and she remembers that she doesn't have someone to pick her son up from basketball,
Yeah.
the next day she can put it in the app, and if I'm a part of that app, it's like, of course I can, or someone in the team's going to be on the app. So being able to put it out there like that. I think one of the other things we come across a lot is within families, there's usually one person who's the communication person. So, and it could be the spouse, or it could be, it's quite often the oldest daughter of a sick elderly parent.
Mm.
And that person is fielding all the communication. So everyone in the extended family and the friendship group contacts that one person. So they feel everyone's very well-meaning, ringing to say, how's dad today? Or when are his test results due? When's his doctor's appointment? All that kind of thing. So everyone's very well-meaning, wanting to keep on top of the issues. But for that one person, it's incredibly overwhelming to be fielding that sort of
Yeah.
information, and that is a lot of extra stress.
Absolutely. Completely agree. It's so
Mm.
much mental bandwidth, isn't it, to have to
Mm.
hold on to.
Yeah,
That's really important to identify and acknowledge that, and the work that
yeah,
that person has to hold on to throughout the
yes,
journey of their
yeah,
loved ones.
yeah.
Um, yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's where the some of the things in the help app. So what when they did their research and they identified all this, they've been able to put in not only task dates, but also actual dates, just reminder dates. So there's a
Yeah.
calendar function. So you can have things like dates of doctor's appointments, dates that results are due. There's a
Yeah.
chat function where you can just send a message out to everybody with an update, and you can attach any scans or results or things, so that instead of responding 13 times, you've just got
Yes.
one message that goes out, or one set of dates, and everybody knows what dates everything's happening because it's all there on their phone. So anything to reduce that carer burden or the stress.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've all known those 20 text messages coming through from
Yeah,
different people asking the exact
yes.
same question
And
before.
and all well-meaning, like
Yeah.
it's all people really have got your best interests at heart, but gee, it's
Yeah.
exhausting for them.
So tiring.
Mm.
Thanks, Tamlin. Next question for you. Sometimes it's tempting to think that the experts have never made a mistake. Can you name a significant lesson that you've learned from getting it wrong in inverted commas in the past?
Yeah, well, I'm not considering myself an expert at all, so I'm going to keep this fairly general. But I think it's a case of communicating sooner rather than later. I think sometimes often we don't see how emotional we are, or how emotional we're going to become. So something that you need help with that starts off fairly small, and then you don't do anything about it, and it kind of snowballs and it snowballs, and it gets to a point where you've got so much there that by the time you do need to ask for help, you're probably going to burst into tears, or have a private breakdown. So not asking for help sooner, or just sort of, it's a lot easier before you get too emotional or before you get too overwhelmed. It's easier because the alternative as well is that you might approach someone for help, and instead of just saying, oh, look, would you mind doing this? It ends up coming out in a completely different way. And well, I mean, when somebody has a breakdown, it obviously needs to come out. But I think recognizing what you need early, and I think also recognizing who is around you that wants to help, because people get fairly focused on who's in my immediate circle. And I think what we don't realize is there are so many people around us who want to help. And all you need to do is ask yourself, if I knew that my neighbor 3 doors down was struggling and wasn't reaching out for help, how would you feel? Like you would never want anybody who's around you to be going through a tough time with knowing that you could help them.
Yes.
So I think it's recognizing who actually is in your circle. And so we do a lot of work with social mapping and that sort of thing in terms of identifying who's around. Um,
Yes.
and it's quite often the people that you least expect. So, for example, I'm a dog owner and a dog walker, and the conversations that I have with people that I see every single day. There was one that I had in the park last night with a lady who's now got a 4-year-old. Now that she got pregnant during COVID, and then it's the first time I've seen her daughter outside of a pram, and
Yeah.
but for 4 years, we've been having these conversations, and these are people that you could potentially engage if you needed some practical help, who
Yeah.
would not dream of not helping you. Like they're people that are around you. But would I ever go and knock on her door 2 streets away to say, no, you wouldn't? So it's just
No,
recognizing there are so many people around you that would be so happy to help you, if they only knew that you needed it.
totally. Totally,
Mhm.
Tamlyn. Do you have any other tried and true tools that you carry with you regarding communicating with the people around you, clients and colleagues?
Mm. I think simplicity. I think we live in a world where everything is we've got so many messages coming at us all the time. And I think probably one of the most important things is just to keep things really simple. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Just stick with the basics. We don't need to use special language or anything. It's just when we're talking with people who are looking after loved ones and everything, it's just talking simply, but also listening to what they're actually going through, because quite often they don't have somebody that they can talk to and open up.
Mm.
So just by being able to hear what's going on and then sort of make some recommendations or just listen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we underestimate the strength that just listening has when it comes to
Especially
communicating.
for people who are looking after someone who's palliative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Sorry, I've got my Google Home giving me messages in the background. She can't connect. Sorry.
Google's listening. Google's
Google's always
listening.
listening. Yeah, that's our communication tip for the day. Mm.
My last question for you. What's one thing that you wish people knew about communication?
So obviously, because I'm in the space of, the palliative care and the help app and things, I think it's largely that communicating the need for help is not a sign of weakness or not coping. I
Mm,
think society today has pushed us into a box where we feel like we need to be able to do everything on our own. So, in times gone by, people would rely on their neighbours. It did take a village to raise a child and all that sort of thing. It feels like there's a lot of pressure these days for people to be able to do everything on their own. And you would
mm,
have seen there's so much talk at the moment about the sandwich generation. That's
yeah.
realer than ever. And it is. We've got so many people in their 60s looking after parents in their 80s and children and grandchildren. And I think everyone feels like they have to do it on their own. And we definitely don't. And I think it's the same with talking about dying. And
Mm,
my kids think I'm particularly morbid because I insist on talking about it.
yeah.
And it's because I need them to know that one day I'm not going to be here and you're going to have to be okay with that. It doesn't matter how much you love me. I'm not here forever. None of us are here forever. So I think talking about dying, normalizing dying,
Mm,
and getting people to realize it is a normal act, it's a normal part of life,
yes.
and understanding that it is going to happen. I feel like in Australia, when somebody dies, we sort of all look at each other and go, what do we do?
Wasn't
Like we don't know
expecting
what
that
to
to
do.
happen. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's right. Exactly. So I
yeah,
think so I think firstly, talking asking for help is not a sign of weakness.
yeah,
Definitely talking about death is not morbid. And talking about your wishes. what you want and, that sort of thing. I mean, I'm a massive fan of the Death Cafe. I love a
Yes.
Death Cafe. People think that's really morbid, but I think you come out feeling so liberated and you come out feeling like I want to live a better life.
Yes.
That's been my experience. So I think if the help app can help to normalize talking about death and normalize helping people again. In terms of things beyond the lasagna, like someone dies and everyone drops off a lasagna and so
Yes.
I think probably that.
Let,
Um, yeah.
totally. Let's stop getting 20 lasagnas when we can actually do things that are tailored to what people need by
Yes.
talking about it and
Yes.
normalizing it and not being
Yes.
scared to
Yes.
have these conversations and
Yeah.
work as a community again, which is,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's interesting actually is in the help app, because you can choose certain tasks of what people want, one of
Mm,
the major tasks, or one of the majority is people are requesting social connection and friendship.
yeah.
So people are saying, come over and have a cup of tea and that sort of thing. And I think that's absolutely beautiful because when someone's sick, people's immediate reaction is to take a step back,
Yeah.
and ultimately, what the family wants is for people to come and have a connection. So, can you imagine how much easier it is to put a task in the app saying, please come and have a cup of tea with me, than ring
Yes.
around everybody and say, can you come over for a cup of tea? Who's going to do that? No one's ever going to do that. They're
No.
never going to ring everybody. They're just worried that everyone's busy. But if you put it in the app, I just think it's an absolutely beautiful way to be able to connect with people
Yes.
in a way that you're not potentially facing rejection if somebody can't make it, even if they want to be there.
What a lovely, surprising
Mm.
revelation that you guys have. You probably put all these tasks into this app thinking that the practical things would be the
Yes.
things that would be
Yep.
most taken up. It's definitely something I would have assumed.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
it's being this social connection, this request for just someone to come and have that cup of
Yeah.
tea has just been overwhelmingly the
Yeah.
thing that people want. Um, yeah, such,
And happy to ask for on an app. I think
yes,
I was surprised, delighted and surprised,
yeah,
like
good
I think it
surprise.
I think it really shows where people are at, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Definitely.
Mm.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Well,
Mm.
thank you so much for chatting with us,
You're
Tamlyn.
welcome.
If you have any questions at all for Tamlyn or the help team, you can go onto the Latrobe website, and that's where the Healthy End of Life Project website is, and the information guides. Is there anywhere else that you would like people
So
to
the
go?
if they go to healthyendoflifeprogram.org is
Yep.
where they'll find it. That's where they'll
Yep.
find it. Or they can download the help app by searching for Healthy End of Life Planning.
Great.
So, and our
Thank
team
you.
is always here to help and to chat and to help people through downloading.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah,
And in the show notes, we'll put that website as well, so you can
amazing. Thank you
click
so
on it and go
much.
to. Thanks
Thank
so much, Tamlin.
you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.